Welcome to PokeClass episode 13. This week is another deck analysis on a deck showing its potential more frequently in competitive play. The deck is based around Arceus and using the level X to hit for weakness every turn. This deck requires a pretty tight build to work with, so I'm going to go through the strategy and give a skeleton list to help you out. Let's start with the main Pokemon of the deck, Arceus. Arceus comes in 9 different types: Dark, Grass, Fire, Water, Colourless, Lightning, Psychic, Fighting, and Metal. All of these types are included in the deck and make a force to be reckoned with. Combining all these different types of Arceus means that you can hit for weakness each and every turn. With all Heart Gold Soul Silver cards having ×2 weakness now, this means that Arceus becomes more viable in this and future formats. These 9 different types of Arceus make the basis of the deck, but then we move on to the level X, which makes the deck worthwhile. Arceus level X, number 94, has 2 Pokebodies. The first, Multi-Type, causes Arceus level X to become the same type as the Arceus you leveled up from. This is the power that allows you to level up from whichever Arceus that will hit for weakness. The second Pokebody, Omniscient, allows Arceus level X to use the attack of any Arceus in play. This gives you an incredible range of attacks that you can use to make sure you hit for enough weakness for the knockout. To make sure that you have the right energy for the attack that you need to use, you're going to need a way to set up. This comes in the form of Colourless Arceus. If you have 6 Arceus in play that are all different types, you can use the attack Ripple Swell. For no energy, this attack allows you to search your deck for 6 energy and attach one of them to each of your Arceus. This gives you the right amount of energy to manipulate around with Ultimate Zone, which we'll cover later. Colourless Arceus also has an attack called Sky Spear. For 3 energy of any kind, you can do 80 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. This can easily one-hit popular cards such as Garchomp C level X and Dragonite FB. This attack can also be useful for getting rid of bench sitters such as Uxie for cheap prizes. The downside to this attack is that it requires you to put all energy attached to Arceus into the Lost Zone, so choose your attacks carefully. The rest of the Arceus are used as attackers, and here's a quick rundown of their attacks and what to use them for. Dark Arceus has the attack prize count. This attack is great early game if you start to fall behind in prizes. For a dark and a colourless energy, this attack does 20 damage, but if you have the most prize cards left, this attack does 60 more damage. This gives you 80 damage that you can hit for weakness with, and maxes out at 160. This can be devastating early game, and is a great attack to begin with. This card also hits Gengar Stormfront for decent weakness when behind on prizes, which is another popular card at the moment. Grass Arceus is probably the weakest Arceus at the moment. It seems to mainly serve as an extra way to be able to use Ripple Swell and attach energy to. Not many, if any, competitive Pokemon have weakness to Grass, but if you come across one, it's still there. It does have an attack that can heal all of your benched Arceus by 30, which could be overlooked. Combine this with the Lightning Arceus and you may have a built-in way of healing your damaged Arceus. Fire Arceus is up there with the Dark Arceus as one of the hardest hitters. For a Fire and a double colourless, you can do 80 damage. However, you do risk 2 energies to a coin flip, and if tails, they are discarded. This Arceus can also hit for 160 damage, and can one-hit Dialga G level X and even Steelix Prime. Water Arceus is there to deal with Dunfan Prime, and even Mewtwo level X. Mewtwo could have the potential to shut this deck down completely due to its Pokebody. But with Water Arceus' Fast Wave attack, you can hit Mewtwo as its attack bypasses Pokebodies. This is also useful against Donphan as it bypasses its exoskeleton body. Lightning Arceus can help you one-hit Pokemon such as Kingdra Prime and Gyarados, which is increasing in popularity. Its attack isn't the best, but it can switch Arceus with one from your bench, so it could be situational. Psychic Arceus can handle Machamp well when you factor in the weakness it has. Also, it can one-hit the new Machamp Prime with another Arceus' attack. This Arceus can also be used to hit for Mewtwo level X's weakness with Water Arceus' Fast Wave attack. Fighting Arceus can take on Luxray GL level X and win every time. Being able to hit for its ×2 weakness means that it can one-hit this troublesome Pokemon with ease. Even if you don't use another Arceus' attack, Fighting Arceus can KO a Luxray with its own attack. Finally, we have Metal Arceus. This card may not be able to hit for any decent weaknesses, but it has a situational attack which may fare well against SP decks such as Dialga Chomp and Lux Chomp. Its attack, Metal Barrier, does 40 damage for a Metal and a double colourless and stops your opponent from attacking Arceus their next turn with level X's. So you have the main attacker, Arceus level X, and you have a way to search out energy from your deck to power up 6 Arceus at a time. This leads us on to trainers and supporters that will help you even more. With Arceus having to fill up the whole Pokemon list, there's absolutely no room for techs such as Uxie and Azelf. However, this can give you some great consistency on getting out the cards you need straight away. Another great thing about Arceus is that it has 2 specific trainers which can only be used in this deck. These 2 cards are Beginning Door and Ultimate Zone. Beginning Door is effectively a luxury ball for Arceus, apart from you can use more than one per game and you can search out level X's with it. This card allows you to search your deck for any Arceus and place it straight into your hand. Being able to search out Arceus level X and placing it straight into your hand is a great way to set up a lot quicker. Even if you don't use it for the level X, you may be able to grab the important Arceus you need to start using Ripple Swell. The next card is Ultimate Zone. This stadium aids you in attaching those energy to the right Arceus after you use Ripple Swell to attach one to each. Ultimate Zone allows you to move an energy from your bench Pokemon to your active Arceus as many times as you like. Using this card means that you can move around the energy you gain from Ripple Swell so that you can attach multiple energy per turn. Arceus will only need a maximum of 3 energy to attack, so being able to stock up on energy with Ripple Swell means that you can move around energy freely, possibly outspeeding your opponent. As for other supporters, you're going to want to run a high number of Pokemon Collector, as this can get you a Ripple Swell early on, and you can grab 3 different types of Arceus from your deck. The usual supporters behind most decks are also needed here, such as Bebe's Search, Professor Oak's New Theory, and possibly Palmer's contribution for some recovery. As for energy, you can try including Cool for much quicker starts, but this won't allow you to Ripple Swell on turn 1, which may hinder your start slightly. For the rest of the energy, it depends on what Arceus amounts you run. Obviously you'll want to start with 1 of each energy, but then add to these depending on how many Arceus that you run. Including 4 double colourless is also a must, as most of Arceus' attacks are double colourless compatible. A final point to make is the skeleton list. Here's a sample list that you can use to get you started on your own Arceus build. You can add to this as you please and according to your testing. Add in certain Arceus if you see more of a certain Pokemon in your area. For example, if you have a lot of Donphan in your area, up the number of Water Arceus that you run. As you can run as many Arceus as you like in your deck, you could include 4 level X's to give you maximum chance of starting with one and being able to level up and use the array of attacks even quicker. As for suggestions to add to this list, you could add in an unknown Q to preserve the important energy you would need to retreat, but be careful of power sprays as this can ruin your chances of a turn 1 Ripple Swell. You could also think about adding in expert belts or plus power to add the extra damage you may need to take down tank decks such as Steelix Prime. Other than these changes, it's all up to the player to figure the rest out. This is a very hard deck to play, but when played right, you can take down a majority of the decks in the format. This deck could be a great contender in the current format, but it may be able to take the format by storm when we finally hit Heart Gold Soul Silver on, where it'll be able to hit for ×2 weakness every single time. I hope you've learned a bit about how Arceus works and why it could be a good contender this season. Why don't you try running this hard hitter at your upcoming City Championships? Thanks for watching PokeClass, and make sure you check back next week for another episode. For more about competitive Pokemon play, make sure you check out these websites that all support PokeClass.